get it on. You should always have a chip while you on your throne. Nobody cares, you better stay alive. But for now, we up to bat, we yelling hit or die.
Hey everybody, welcome to the HIT.OR.DIE podcast, episode 73. We're here with your host, Jake Saldati and Chad Rothford. And our guest today is none other than NFL football player. I was going to say legend, but he's
no legend. Maybe a legend in Chowchilla. That's about
Hey,
it.
that's legend.
that's a legend somewhere. Cameron Worrell, thank you for joining us on the show.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
First off, this show is going to be brought to you by our sponsor, which is Fresno Landscape Construction. It is licensed and bonded and insured for both concrete and landscape. Specializes in all hardscape installs, including concrete, flagstone, and pavers for any back porch, driveway, walkways, or pool deck replacement. They do all irrigation, drainage, sod, planting, service installations as well. For all your outdoor remodel needs, call or text 559-903-5698 or email at fulbrightlandscape@yahoo.com. And we finally got a banner for the show. We're trying to get more, I guess, not real because we're real, but like big time.
Clean it up a little bit. Yeah.
More refined.
Yeah. There you go.
My father, Jim Rothford, bought this for us through his company, Team Sports Inc. So if anybody out there wants to pay, it's actually super nice and it was very affordable. It was under $150, and this is a 5x12 or 5x14.
It's I think it's 16 feet.
5x16.
Outdoor
Vinyl.
Yeah, that's heavy duty, man.
Yeah, it's very durable. And
they do everything. Uniforms, gear packs,
yeah,
stuff for schools, companies, business T-shirts, all that stuff. So
all that.
And so it is a little change up today, right? This is a lot of baseball.
Hey, hit or die. I mean, Cam hit some people.
Yeah.
So it's okay when you got a safety that came up and hit some people.
I died a couple of times too. I did for sure.
Are you anxious with tomorrow? It's Wednesday, right? So NFL's coming back up tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it should be, what do you got? I think it's Houston and Kansas City.
Yeah.
Nice little matchup
Yeah.
there.
Think City going to whip everybody this year. They're a juggernaut, man. And you have a guy like Patrick Mahomes, I think he's going to go wild.
Are you into the fantasy game?
I was for a while. Like the first year I played was 2007. I was in Miami, and it was the one year I started in the NFL, and it was a per player on defense, so I had myself on my team. So I played for maybe 4 or 5 years. I played in like a competitive league one year, but it's just changed the way I watched football, and I wasn't a fan. I wasn't watching. I just like to watch football for the adjustments people make and some X's and O's stuff, and I was watching stats. I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Plus, every Saturday night, I'm sitting there figuring out. I'm going through, Yahoo and ESPN. I'm trying to figure out who to play in like the third running back position or flex. I'm like, what am I doing?
I always had the problem with injuries, man. The last 4 years, I've had running backs, receivers, my starters go down. I'm like, my first 3 picks are injured, and I'm pretty much throw away the whole fantasy season. But
I'd rather just bet. I'd rather bet on football than play fantasy.
Yeah, and I do that. I'm more into that now. I started with like doing, 4 or 5 leagues, and it's like it's a full-time job.
Seriously,
like you guys.
Seriously,
yeah, that's too
and
much.
Guys on the waiver wire like Monday when someone goes down and pick up a free agent, and
I play with
lot
with some buddies, and that's I lead that and one other public league, and that's about it.
Yeah, I actually got out. I'm done. I decided not to go back.
Is this year 1 of being out?
Yes.
Or you're going to love it? You're going to love it.
Do you have FanDuel? I've never even asked you. Have FanDuel?
Nope, nothing.
Did you need to get on one of those?
I'm not a bettor. I don't know.
Because I noticed I'll even do it for basketball. Like there's anything.
Yeah.
Right? It's just fun to pick.
I just did it for the PGA Championship. Like
See,
I played in
I
played in you pick 6 golfers or whatever, you have a certain amount of money, and it was like 150 people, and it was the winner won like $2,000. It was a $25 entry, so you have fun, you watch golf, and you can actually win some money. It was pretty cool. I would do that
does that
again
go
for
off
sure.
places? Like
I think
6 golfers, if they place in the top what?
Right. Well, I think it was kind of
Or score.
The cheaper the player and the better performance, it was kind of a sliding scale. So, Morikawa won. He was kind of mid-range price, so he was off the chart. So if you had him, you had a good chance to compete.
Yeah.
If you didn't, you did not.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't have to follow a whole season of stats and players and trades and
Pick once and it's 4 days of fun for $25.
What do you? Who do you FanDuel or what's the other one? There's a bunch
I think
of them
it was
now.
DraftKings.
Oh, DraftKings.
Yeah,
Okay.
DraftKings.
Because I know, like on Yahoo, you can do betting through Yahoo now too. I think,
Oh,
or they have different games you can buy into play.
I mean, it's going to be everywhere soon, right? I mean, every state is trying to pass some sort of legislation so you can bet.
I'm on that. I'm on those $2 games, those $1.50 buy-ins. I'm not on that 25. That's too rich for my blood. Plus, my wife would not have that.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Yeah.
It just takes one time where you win,
That's true.
and then you never
It
really
does.
have to talk about doing it again until you win
It takes
again.
one time to win the lottery too. But
Those are facts. Getting into our guest, Chal Chilograd, 98,
98, yep.
on to Fresno State. We'll get into that because you end up going to City for a season.
Yep.
Back at Fresno State, all WAC performer, and go undrafted to the Bears in 03.
Yep.
And we're the only guy I saw that in 03 made it out of camp that was undrafted.
Yeah.
Played with the Bears, the Miami Dolphins,
Yep.
signed a deal with the Jets, and finished your career with the Bears.
Yep.
And it's a fun story, man. There's some stuff in there I'd love to hear. Again, we're changing it up, hit or die football style for kicking off football
still hit or
season.
die.
Still hit or
It
die.
is still a die.
It's always
still hit or die for
right?
sure. Especially
Even
with
more
the
so,
defensive
right?
guy, yeah.
Even because there's hitting, I guess both. There's only two things where hitting is constant, right? Football and baseball.
well, okay, I this just came in my head. So there's this thing like baseball players. We always like to say, would you rather get hit coming across the middle by like a Ray Lewis or an Aroldis Chapman fastball in the back?
Oh.
And I always pick.
So what are you talking about? 105?
Yeah, I'm talking about.
Does it matter?
I'm talking about 100+ mile an hour fastball to the back. And me being a baseball player, I picked the fastball.
Yes.
all day long.
I agree.
because I've been hit by something that hard. Now I'm not sure you've been hit by a baseball that hard, but
No.
you have been hit
Yeah.
and hit somebody as hard. So I'm trying to think I've never asked a football player
I would probably take the baseball.
take the baseball in
Yeah,
the back.
yeah.
Plus it's the back.
Yeah,
I mean, Ray Lewis,
I
you might
feel
not
like I
get
have
up.
some protection back there. If you said like the neck or something, or
Yeah.
right wrist, I'm out. I'll take over the middle shot all day. But some of those shots, I delivered some. I've taken some from like crackback blocks. Your whole world disappears for like 25 seconds. You don't know where you are. You can't breathe. You're just trying to figure out like how you survive those 25 seconds. I don't know if a fastball, even at 105 to the back, is going to make you feel like that.
No, you're
You're going to be playing.
hurt.
You'll probably be playing the next day.
Well, you'll probably still play.
Yeah,
I mean, into
yeah.
the back. I mean, you walk it off.
I think the hardest I ever got hit was on a kickoff. I was running down on a kickoff. It was Sunday Night Football. We were playing the Giants, and they were kind of hyped up. It was the year I was with the Bears and went to the Super Bowl. I'm running down on kickoff full speed, and I am trying to cut the corner around the wedge blocker. Well, the lead kind of returner was Ron Dane, and he was kind of tucked up behind the wedge, and he turned out like at the last second, and I didn't see him whatsoever. Couldn't breathe. I had to crawl off the field, and the trainers came and kind of helped me off. You know, when you get hit, even with a baseball in the stomach, you just, you can't talk, you can't do anything. It was, I mean, for at least a minute, you're just trying to get some oxygen.
Do you get blown up for that in the locker room? Do guys give you crap up, give you shit about that?
Of course.
Or like
you
film,
watch
when you
film
watch
the
film.
next day, yeah.
And
Because
then
it was,
the coach
Is it like
rewinds
Hard
it.
Knocks,
yeah.
right? When they're on there, it's
Rewinds
like,
it.
what in the hell was that?
yeah. My rookie year, Tyrone Wheatley, I was on kickoff return and actually like sprained an ankle right as he hit me, and I went flying. Like my ankle gave out, but the special teams coach my rookie year, Mike Sweatman, just did not like rookies at all. So I swear he played it 25 times in a row. And he was talking about technique and getting your hips down and getting turned around. Like I finished the game, but I missed the next week. My ankle injury was so bad. Like I didn't get blown up. I hurt my ankle. He didn't care. Just over and over and over.
Yeah.
So yeah, dudes won't let you live that down.
That's with everything though, sports.
Yeah, of course. Right. I wouldn't let someone else down if it happened to them.
That's good stuff. So going back to Chowchilla, take us back. Multi-sport athlete.
4 sports in 1 year.
And so it was football. Go ahead and take us through it.
Yeah. So I didn't play football till my junior year. I was gonna play football. I broke my arm. Before my freshman year, I didn't play. My baseball coach ended up coaching the football program, taking over. So I went out my junior year. I think that was the year I did everything. I was really a basketball player. I played baseball too. I ran a little bit of track, but I was a basketball player. I loved basketball, and football just kind of fit my mentality more than basketball. Plus, I was 5'11", and there's not too many 5'11" basketball players that play after high school. So football just kind of fit. I didn't start a game until like 2 or 3 games left my junior year. All of our running backs got hurt. I just jumped in and had a little bit of success. And then my senior year was an all-conference guy, but still, 5'11", kind of slow, 4'6", 4'7" in high school, and just not a lot of people recruiting you. So I was kind of planning on going to Merced College or Fresno City out of high school. And then someone was recruiting Rodney Davis and Mark A. Davis from Dos Palos and saw some film of me. And that's how I kind of got the walk-on opportunity. Dennis Wagner, who was an O-line coach there, saw enough, I guess. My grades were good, so got a spot and, went to compete. And then redshirted 98, prepared. And then I left school, went to go get a job, thought I was going to marry my high school sweetheart, that whole thing. So the whole fall semester I work in Chowchilla and decide all right, I can't do this. I got to go back and play football. You all right?
Yeah, we're good.
Now that equipment is way too expensive.
Yeah, party foul. We're good. My bad.
We can't afford another one of those.
Another one.
Maybe strap it to that chair next time or something.
We're going to have a GoFundMe for the internet.
And so I go back the spring semester and actually, what would be going into my sophomore year, earned a starting spot in spring football, but I only passed 9 units in the spring. I didn't go to school in the fall, so I had to pass 18 units, and I fell far short of that. So that's how I ended up at Fresno City. Met with Coach C. My grandpa was friends with the tennis coach, told Coach C I was ineligible, wasn't going to be able to play at Fresno State. So I went to Fresno City and, really just turned my whole life around. I'm such a fan of junior college sports because I was a kid. I wasn't responsible. I didn't understand the things that it took to have success as an adult, or even just do the minimum, just, be eligible to play football. I didn't even understand how to do that. And you go to City and Coach C's very welcoming. He takes guys who he feels like he can turn around, but at the same time, if you don't do your work, you're out. So, it was a rude awakening for me, but, I give that 1 year at Fresno City is responsible for a ton of the success that I've had after just being a responsible person, more so than anything. And that's what Coach C taught me. And that's why, junior college athletics, I think it's extremely important for a lot of people.
Well, you guys were pretty good too, right?
We were 10-0. We thought we were really good, and we went up to San Francisco City, and I remember a couple guys on their sideline, and they were kind of laughing at us, right? A couple just fans or parents or whoever, maybe chain gang guys who have watched, every San Francisco game, so they knew what was going to happen. But we were good, we beat up on a lot of people, beat Bew. They had a couple NFL guys, but it was 42-7, and it was over in the first quarter. They went down and scored maybe their first 3 possessions, and that was it.
They're still a power too.
Yeah, they went on to win a state championship and undefeated and all that.
So
I think they cheat, but
how so?
I think they paid for players to live in San Francisco. At San Francisco, they had a lot of out-of-state players coming in. It's your first year at a junior college out of state. It's $15,000. and you're living in San Francisco. So that's unsubstantiated, but
Yeah, my dad's
know.
even said that with City football, having out of state guys, what they have to do,
Oh,
because a
man.
lot of them, when he was the equipment manager at City, they'd have to work for him and make their money to pay for stuff. So my dad knows how expensive it is for out of state, let alone, you know, some of the, like, you're from Chowchilla, so are you going back from Chowchilla to Fresno, or are you getting an apartment with guys, or, you know, some guys do that and they're on their own, you know, out of high school.
yeah,
So,
we had 8 Hawaiian dudes who lived in the same 2-bedroom apartment. Like that's how they had to survive. So pretty difficult to do in the city of San Francisco. You can do it in Fresno,
Yeah,
but San Francisco,
yeah.
I don't
Fresno,
know.
it's about $500 a month. San Francisco, it's about $1,500.
Right,
$1,500.
at least,
Easy,
yeah, at
easy.
least.
So then you head back to Fresno State. Was that like, was there any recruiting going on for you at that point, or was Fresno State somewhere like, I need to go back and get some redemption or chip on your shoulder?
Yeah, I was getting recruited, but I would have had to play another season at Fresno City. Like I wasn't ready to transfer to another Division I program just because of the rules. If you're at a Division I and you go to a junior college and you pass 24 units, at least back then, I don't know if it's the same, you could go back to the school you left. But if you went to another school, you had to get your AA degree. So I was not close to doing that. So it was really my only option, but I was getting some, you know, kind of Pac-10 love, and at least from what the film said, once they realized I was going to be like a 1-for-1 player, you know, one year to play one, it was kind of over. So Pat made me walk back on to Fresno State. He didn't give me a scholarship out of Fresno City. He made me come back for like 2 weeks and put in some work before he gave me a scholarship. So he made me earn it again. After I earned it, he promised me, you know, I was going to be on scholarship if I was eligible that sophomore year. He promised me if I went to Fresno City, did what I had to do and came back, he would put me on scholarship. But he also made me show him that, you know, I was a little bit different.
Yeah, like you grew up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Took it more seriously.
How was it playing for Coach Hill?
It was tough, man. It was really tough. And he and I are really close now. You know, we do the radio and our personalities are very similar, but back then we didn't get along at all.
Maybe that's why.
It's exactly why. I mean, it's 100% why. But, you know, I was also a knucklehead. I was, you know, I didn't do things the right way. I didn't handle my business like a professional, and I was 22, 23 years old. But he always tried to instill those things in you. But if you go through his program, when I went to the NFL, there were far more talented guys who never played a regular season game in the NFL because they didn't understand special teams. You know, we grinded at Fresno State. So hard practices, physical practices, it was nothing once I got to the NFL. Some guys just didn't develop that in college. So it was tough. He ran it like an NFL program. He held you accountable all the time. And if you got through it and you had any sort of skill set, you had a chance to make it in the NFL. That's why you see, you know, a ton of guys. Kenny Wiggins still going like 10 years in, 4 years on a practice squad. You just know how to work, you know how to handle your business and give yourself an opportunity.
Yeah, he put a lot of guys into the NFL.
Well, I mean, when you have that saying, anytime, anywhere, you almost have to make, and I know people say football is offense, defense, and special teams, but as a small Division I or a mid-major, you know, Fresno State, they always say mid-major, you have to make sure that special teams is like almost above either your offense or defense, because that's how Fresno State won a lot of games because of their special teams.
Yeah, John Baxter was, I mean, I was around Dave Tobe, who's with the Kansas City Chiefs now, just won a Super Bowl, should be a head coach. Keith Armstrong down in Miami was with the Falcons forever. I mean, longtime NFL special teams coaches. John Baxter was as good as anybody I was ever around, how he taught it, his terminology, how you could easily grasp his concepts. I mean, that was a big reason why I made it in the NFL. Ben Jacobs made it in the NFL. I mean, a lot of guys who just made it. Adam Jennings, who was 175 pounds running down on kickoff. Why we had the opportunity to play in the NFL was because of John Baxter. I mean, he knew what he was doing, and he got you ready to go. I ran circles around guys in special teams drills as a rookie because they really had no knowledge of what they were doing.
And you look at, I mean, Hard Knocks is a big time show, and you see that a lot with the rookie guys. unless you're probably like a first rounder
Right.
and a big time money guy, the only way you're making that squad is special teams. And
Yep.
and you see that a lot where, you know, they get down to the 53 and it's always either how's this guy on special teams?
Yep.
It's never how is he at his position.
Right.
It's how is he at special teams? And then it's obviously the practice squad after that. And that's where, you know, Fresno State took special teams so seriously and you guys were that prepared going in where, you know, I'm going to grind in special teams and you're way ahead of everybody. So that's a good way to looking at it is, you know, very prepared to play special teams because
That's all at the bottom of the roster. All those conversations is, can this dude play on special teams? And if you can't, and you're a draft pick, you might make the roster, but you're not playing on Sundays. If you don't play special teams and you're not a starter, it's very difficult to dress out on Sunday. Very difficult.
yeah.
It also goes to show how difficult it is. I mean, to be the only undrafted free agent or to make a roster.
Yeah.
I mean, that's saying something.
Yeah, and crazy story, like the day before our last preseason game was against the Patriots, my rookie year. And like we're in suits and we're going through, they used to do security at our facility, right? So we go through security, go on the bus, go straight to the plane. Well, the GM, Jerry Angelo, grabbed me and pulled me into a trainer's room and he said, hey man, you've had a great camp. You've done everything we asked you to do, but we just don't think we have enough room on the roster for you, right? It's just kind of a numbers thing, but we want to sign you to the practice squad if nobody claims you as a free agent. I was like, all right, cool. Well, I have one more chance to make something happen, you know, put something on film. So nobody plays the fourth preseason game, like starters, even backups. Like when I was in Miami, I didn't play the fourth preseason game. So I played the whole game on special teams, on defense, and I had like 14 tackles. I picked up a fumble, returned it for a touchdown, like put an exclamation point on my preseason. That was a Friday cut day, like official cut by like 2 p.m. Central Time on Sunday. And like back then it was just AM radio. Like there's no internet. Like, you know, you can't just scroll Pro Football Talk or, you know, whatever and see who's getting cut. So I turned the radio on like at, you know, 1:55 or whatever. And at 2:00, sure enough, official cuts. Didn't hear my name called, even though 2 days before the GM told me straight up they were going to cut me. So
And that was right before the game?
no, it was
Or was
right
after?
before it was right before we were getting on the plane to travel to New England. So
But
Yeah.
still, it's before the game.
yeah,
Your last game.
it's a day before the game.
That could
Like,
easily have gone 2 different ways.
for sure. And maybe it was a test. I never really thought it like that because, you know, the week before I met a couple of the pro personnel guys and they were talking a little bit about the practice squad. And I was like, what are you talking to me about the practice squad for, man? Like I had a really good preseason. Our 4th round safety broke his jaw the first game. So I played a ton, very productive, big hits, like just a really good preseason. I thought it was a lock, really. And then to hear that, I was like, all right, I got to go make somebody's roster. I have one opportunity to do it. And it just so happened that, you know, I made it in Chicago and I became friendly with the scouts there. One of the scouts who's now with the Rams, he called me Can't Cut Cam, right? Can't Cut Cam because every year, you know, going into whittling down the roster, like, you know, we just can't cut this dude. He just does too much. He works too hard. You know, we have too much confidence in him as a backup on special teams. I just did enough every year there to just survive.
Hey, a lot of people don't.
A lot of people don't. A lot of very talented people don't. I mean, we cut a 3rd rounder, 2005, Leon Joe, linebacker, but couldn't play special teams. Cut him, 3rd rounder. 4'4", 230-pound linebacker, played at Maryland, physical freak. We ended up signing him like a year later, but cut him.
Yeah,
Can't
but
play
if you're going to play
special
linebacker for that defense, you better play special teams if you're not going to start over
teams.
those guys.
Right, if you're not Urlacher or Lance Briggs, yeah, there's not a lot of room.
I wonder if he hadn't said anything. You know, like, would you have had that mentality? I mean, football's a different animal, and especially at that level, there's nobody taking plays off or days off, or especially preseason. You know what you have to do. I just think it maybe
if it motivated you a little more.
Yeah, maybe gave you extra.
Yeah.
Well, like you just said, you
For
got to make
sure,
a roster.
yeah.
I got to do
Yeah.
what I got to do to make the roster.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe there's a divergent path in my in my life if Jerry Angelo doesn't give me that talk. Who knows, right? And just I feel like I'm a lock. I don't have to prove myself, and then boom, get cut Sunday, and who knows?
Maybe you don't go after the tackle that you got, or
Yeah,
I don't want to hurt myself,
right? Yeah, anything.
Now we do for baseball. We normally do like your call up story, but since it's football, there's no minor leagues. You were pretty much there. They do rookie hazing or your rookie show or whatever they
if
do.
it's appropriate.
Yeah,
it's not appropriate, but I'll give you the story because it was really, really good, and I actually stole it from Tim Osborne, who was a quarterback out of Bakersfield. We were freshmen together at Fresno State, and we had like freshman hazing there, and he told a joke that I can't say.
So that was you told it because some guys sing, right. Some guys do skits and all that.
I was gonna sing "Juicy" by Biggie, like the first verse of "Juicy." That was gonna be my song if I had to sing. It's the one song I had memorized. Or I told this joke, and the joke is kind of a slow setup, but like the punchline is you use somebody in the room. Tim Osborne used Pat Hill, and everybody lost it. And I used Mike Brown, who was starting safety for us, but he was kind of the ringleader of this little rookie hazing thing. Like if you weren't doing a good job, he would boo you off the stage. So I used Mike Brown's name. I said the punchline, like who the heck is Mike Brown? And there was like a second of silence. I was like, oh man. And then the whole room just erupted. And I see Mike Brown coming in from outside of the room, like he wasn't even in there. And everybody's like, Cam got you. So like for 2 weeks, Mike Brown was like, oh, the funny guy's here. Like the funny guy's here. The guy who tells jokes. It was good. Yeah. Like really good joke. I just can't say.
Well, we'll get it off air.
Yeah, we will. Those are always fun to hear.
But I love watching those too on Hard Knocks. That's the good thing. I love Hard Knocks. I wish they did something like that for baseball. For us, where they do like a spring training thing where you can go in, because it's just my favorite was the Raiders. I'm sorry, I just with freaking
Antonio
Brown. If you
Brown.
hear me, or that, or like Derek Carr, like seeing how he works, and I mean, all of us from Fresno understand how hard he worked, and like. Him being in the film room his senior year and doing stuff like an NFL quarterback, obviously got to learn from his brother, but just to see that with the Raiders and like how they went about their business was a lot of fun. It's
just a cool perspective. Like my wife hates sports, period, but she loves hard. That's like her favorite thing to watch. Really? Every year we watch it because she loves to see. Well, she loves, let's be real, the swearing and all the vulgar things that they go on. But that's what she likes about it. She likes to see what nobody ever gets to see. Yeah. I think baseball could do themselves a little more doing that.
That would be fun to watch.
For sure. I mean, you get your 30 clubs in 30 days, but
that's not what...
You're not seeing behind the scenes.
You're not seeing the locker room talk.
You get 5 minutes of their tee work or ground balls.
Because if you do it on HBO, you can do whatever. If you do it on MLB Network, you can't have the swearing on there. You can't. Right. That's not real.
It's not real, exactly. And I was shocked. I went to a spring training and covered I just interviewed some guys. I went into the Giants clubhouse. It was a year after Bumgarner went crazy. And then the Dodgers, like the next day. I mean, in the NFL, even training camp, like you're not in the locker room. There's maybe 15 minutes a day where beat writers will be in the locker room. Like the clubhouse was open. You walk out on the field and you watch batting practice from right behind the cage. You walk into the clubhouse. You talk to anybody you want. Like the openness of baseball environment was very shocking to me coming from that football environment. Everything is very insulated. They really don't want a lot of people talking. Baseball, it's the complete opposite. Like, hey, as soon as the pitcher's done, he's available for interviews. I'm like, man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, you could have a lot of good stuff. The locker room was, the clubhouse was a totally different environment. I think a lot of people would be interested to see that dynamic.
We also talk about baseball being 162 games, or whether it's minor league is a little less, and it being a grind day to day. Football's 16 weeks and
17. You get one bye week.
Yeah, bye week. What is that grind like through a season? I mean, there's a reason you only play once a week.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And I played one Thursday game, a Thanksgiving game against the Cowboys, and it was almost like a scrimmage. Your body's not ready. It's 4 days. You can't really recover. You can't really game plan. baseball is such a mental grind. Like you have to wake up every single day. You do the same thing. You have the same routine. You try to replicate everything. It's very mentally taxing. I would imagine. I've never had to do it. You get like a couple of days off a month. It's crazy.
It's normally a travel day.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not just chilling by the pool.
Yeah. That's to me, that's crazy. And it wasn't probably until my third year in the NFL where I realized, like, okay, off day Tuesday is not an off day, right? It's a film day, or it's a rehab day, or it's a workout day. Like, if you're going to survive, and for me, 4 preseason games were real games to me, because I had to make the Bears roster all 4 years I was there. Like, I had to grind in the preseason, so 4 games, 16 regular season games, and then we played 3 games in the playoffs. I mean, it's a long season. You report to camp, July 22nd, and we got back to Chicago like February 5th. I mean, it's a long time to play football. So your body's pretty worn down. My rookie year, I tore my meniscus. I missed a game. I wouldn't practice on Wednesday or Thursday. I would practice kind of 3/4 speed on Friday, get a Toradol shot before the game Sunday and play Sunday. And then Monday, not that I couldn't hardly walk, but I couldn't do much else. I couldn't run. I couldn't jog. I couldn't lift on that leg. It's just, and that's what really wears guys down. You get a little injury, and there's no time for you to really rest it and recover.
It's kind of no wonder, like, because I've seen Vice and some other, I think, what's the HBO show they got?
Ballers?
Real Sports.
Real Sports, where
Sports,
they've covered, like, abuse with certain drugs just for these guys to even make it to week.
When I was in Miami, I was playing on all the special teams. They signed me as a backup, kind of dime safety, but a special teams guy. Like, they wanted me to come in and be the special teams guy. Pay me a little bit of money, pay me more than Chicago was going to pay me. I had an opportunity to play more. So I took it. A couple of our safeties went down. I ended up starting like 8 games. I tore my ACL in December, but I'm on all the special teams. I'm playing every rep of defense. Like, on practice on Wednesday, I would take Toradol, an Ultram, which is like an anti-inflammatory pain reliever, and a Red Line every single day before practice, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, just to get through. Like, a Red Line's legit stuff. If you've never drank one, it's like,
well, there's a reason why it's banned now.
Right. It was the real deal.
I haven't seen it. You're right. I didn't know it was banned, though.
I don't know what was in it. I never failed the performance-enhancing drug test, luckily, but it was the real deal.
That the company that made Redline makes Bang. Or got bought out by him, I think. I want to. Don't quote me on
Bang
that, but I think
too.
Bang is good.
They have a lot of good flavors.
But
so that was just to survive. Just
so you guys would get Monday, Tuesdays off?
We would usually get Tuesday would be the off day. Monday, like in Chicago when we were winning, we would have Monday off. But you'd still come in and you work out and get film or whatever, right? Get some rehab. But usually Monday's a workout day, a run day, and then watch the film, break down the game from the day before. And then Tuesday's the off day. Usually if you're playing, like I was in Miami, it's a really heavy film day. You try to really prepare for what you're going to see, whatever your process was. I like to break down like first down, second down, try to get a head start on that. And then we work our way through the downs as the week went through. But, Wednesday was physical. Thursday was half physical. And then Friday was kind of fast Friday.
I mean, it's different now, right? There's far less contact.
Yeah.
Like, where do you stand on that stuff? Like, even with, I guess, to make the game safer is cool, but you've had some.
You played a position where you didn't play with a carrot.
You can't let up.
Yeah, no.
You got to go.
But now they're expecting you to. Like, you're running full speed, and now you got to be like, no, I got to move my head 3 inches this way.
Right.
Like,
do you talk to guys now?
It's not possible. It's just guys know that they're probably going to get penalized and they're going to get fined, and it's just kind of the way it's going to be. You try to keep your head out as much as possible, but, receivers' heads are moving as they're going down, and you've already picked a target. Like, I wasn't a good enough athlete to adjust from that. Like, once I had a target, that target was getting hit. Mm-hmm. And if it moved, then I was hitting whatever ended up in the spot I was going to hit. Some guys are good enough to kind of adjust, but defensive guys know the rules are made for offenses. The perception is the more, big collisions you can take out of the game, the safer it is, I guess. But, the repetitive head trauma is happening on the line of scrimmage, like 4 guys.
Whether it's a big hit or
right,
not.
it's usually not. It doesn't look like a big hit, but it's play after play after play. Those are really the ones that, that add up over time.
330-pound guys going and they can move. I mean,
you see Donald. He's built like a fucking brick shit house. I mean, honestly, he's just muscle. He's a freak.
He is. He really is a freak. Not just how he's built, but like he's an animal.
Yeah.
Unblockable dude.
I think with that hitting rule, I think they need to make it. They need to simplify it. Obviously, if you get hit in the head while you're up catching, I think that's one thing. But if he's catching and going down and you happen to hit him, I mean, how are you?
Yeah, you see a lot of guys tuck just kind of as a natural
because the receiver
reaction.
is going to tuck,
or like a quarterback will do it too.
Yeah, and
I've seen quarterbacks do this, and it's helmet to helmet.
And I feel like that's something that isn't controllable. I feel like you as a safety, a guy's going upright. When you played, you were trying to take you were going through his shoulder, trying to take his head off, but nowadays, guys don't do that. They try to hit it lower, but then if the guy's falling down, well, his head's going to be where you're going. And I think they need to simplify that rule a little bit better.
They never will, though.
They won't.
It'll always be the defensive player's responsibility to try to avoid that, and they'll always get.
Because what does a running back do when he's running up the middle? Doesn't he drop his head?
There was supposed to be a penalty a couple years ago, and I never saw it called.
Yeah.
If the running back puts his head down, it's supposed to be kind of a leading with the helmet penalty, but never gonna happen.
I think the one thing, and maybe we can all agree on this, is that the NFL's overtime sucks.
Oh,
yes. Yeah.
Well, before we get to that, I just want to say the hitting thing real quick. College should not be kicked out of the game.
Yeah.
That pisses me off.
It's really bad.
It's bad. It's not even like a one time. It is a one time you're out.
Yeah.
Like,
you understand like the intent, what they meant it to be. Like guys who are headhunting are going to get kicked out of a game. But I mean, I've seen like Isaiah Burst got kicked out of a game against Hawaii, Derek's senior year, 2013. Blocked a guy on the sideline, very minimal head-to-head contact. I mean, very, very minimal. And it was like the first quarter, and he got booted.
Yeah.
You fly to Hawaii and stay on the island, 5-hour flight. You prepare for a game, and you get like 6 minutes of action.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. You see that rule misapplied probably more so than any rule that I've ever seen.
And you're also having college players that are trying to make it to the next step. But if you take away their film or their playing ability.
Right.
I mean, and obviously they think us kicking him out is going to get him to stop doing that. But, I mean, coming from a guy that played in the NFL, you can't control.
Well, and there's less, I don't want to say less practice, but there's less practice. There's less technique. There's less hitting.
Definitely less hitting. Like, after like week 8 in the NFL, they don't even put on shoulder pads anymore. It's just helmets and shorts. Like, that's all they do.
But the game is tackling somebody, right? So imagine a baseball player only allowed to hit twice a week.
Right.
You're not going to be
or infield.
Your best.
Right. I would say take ground balls.
Yeah.
Just twice a week and then try to perform at a really high level.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
And you've seen it. And the game's changed. It's going to be open. There's still a little bit of power football, but it's open. It's speed. It's athletes. It's manipulating space. Like the game has adapted to the rules, and I don't think we'll see more of what we see in college. We'll always get into the NFL. I don't think we'll ever see that stop.
I like that though. I mean, I'm not opposed to it.
I think most people do. That's why they promote it. Yeah. I don't necessarily, but I play defense. I'm biased. So, I'm not going to like guys running free all over the place. And, if you hit a guy a little bit high, you're going to get a penalty. Like, let guys play, which the NFL won't ever do. But, hey, maybe I'm wrong because the NFL is a juggernaut, and whether they make
the rule
changes or enforce them, nobody cares. They're still going to watch.
But, I mean, the technology is getting better. Yeah, the equipment is better.
Yeah.
So we're having guys hit less when they have better equipment and technology to take away concussions or the CTE, that stuff. Plus, as a football player, guess what? I signed up to do this.
Right.
Like, I didn't play there, but I mean, I'm sure, if something ever happened to you or, long term, like, are you going to blame the NFL or like, you signed up to get hit and hit people, and you were using the helmet that Antonio Bryant can't wear anymore, right? You were using
I had
the old shut helmet.
I had a Riddell.
Oh, the Riddell.
Yeah, I had a Riddell. Same helmet. Yeah, I think most people, especially now that the education is out there, like now you understand the choice you're making. I feel like the NFL hid a lot of that evidence, before me, during my career. Nobody in the NFL would have probably changed their mind, but you have seen, Chris Borcher, the linebacker with the 49ers, he was a beast. Yeah. He was a beast, but once he was educated on what he could potentially be doing to his brain, he decided that it was not worth it. I feel like guys who played before me, guys who played during the time I was in the NFL, they didn't have that information to make that decision, and the NFL had that information and didn't share it. So, but I agree with you. Like, you make the decision to play, as long as the people responsible for the game share all the information with you, now you can make your informed decision.
Now, do you think it would have changed your mind?
Not me, no. And I don't think 99.99% of the guys wouldn't have changed anything. I tried to keep my head out of it. I took some headshots. I had 5 or 6 concussions.
Those are the ones that are known, though.
Very true. Very true. I don't even really know what a concussion is still to this day. Like, nobody can really tell you exactly what a concussion is. I used to get deja vu all the time. To me, I feel like when I had deja vu, that was probably a concussion. Like, man, I've been in this exact game before, this exact situation. So that was probably a concussion, but I mean, none of those were diagnosed. I had one against Cleveland. I ran down on a kickoff. I got knocked out cold, and I started jogging off the field, and the guys were like, hey, we got to play defense. Went through a whole drive, the end of the first half. I don't remember any of it. I didn't realize I was knocked out until we watched film the next day. I put my head down and went straight down to the ground. I was like, oh, man, I got knocked out.
And nobody saw that?
Nobody.
I mean, people would be getting fired today for that.
Yeah.
Well, they would see it. Somebody's watching.
I mean, you're even seeing refs now more in tune with what's going on with players and stuff like. Which, I mean, again,
the safety's good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But you're taking the fun out of it.
I mean, I don't want to see.
Not only for fans.
I don't want to see
players,
guys. I don't want to see guys, taking hits where they're no longer walking. But
well, I mean, you touch Tom Brady, he's. Oops.
Yeah, they changed all the rules for that.
30-yard penalty.
There's no way he's playing at 43 or whatever unless all those rules got changed. As soon as he got hit in the knee, can't hit quarterbacks in the knee anymore. That's out. Even though Carson Palmer got hit,
that was brutal.
Like the year before, the same exact way. Yeah. But once Tom Brady got hit, he changed it.
Well, did Buster Posey change baseball?
Yeah, to Buster Posey changed baseball for sure. Yep. As soon as they saw the MVP, right? He's a reigning MVP when that happened. Like, nah, this is not going to happen anymore.
See, as a baseball player, I'm so mad about it.
Right. How do you feel about that? Because, like, from a football player's perspective, if I'm running home and the catcher has a ball, I'm trying to do whatever I can to score, and that would be hitting him as hard as I can.
See, and that's where growing up, like, you can't do that until you play professional baseball.
Right.
So once I got to professional I'm not the smallest guy in the world, so normally the ball's there already when I'm coming in. So I loved it, dude. I remember I blew my elbow up because my elbow went through a guy's mask and, dented his mask, but even though I was out, I was just like, dude, I fucked that dude up. Like, that's just the feeling you get, or like taking a guy out at second. You're just like, that was part of the game and you loved it.
Yeah.
And I feel like taking that out, it's just, I can't hit him. Let me slide out over here,
So can you not hit a guy anymore, or can the catcher?
If
the catcher can't be blocking
baseline.
he can't be blocking the plate before he has the ball, right?
Yeah.
But once he gets the ball, he can
go.
turn and then you can try to truck him.
I mean, at that point, you're not
supposed to now.
No?
But I guess if
I mean, even at second base,
that's where it's iffy now. See, it's like in the NFL, it's iffy with the hit.
Gotcha.
It's like
if a guy completely whiffs at second base to take out the shortstop, like that's not.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Right.
But if you go in hard through the bag, well, okay, that's just baseball.
They're
and
pros,
you can still
right?
touch it.
Yeah.
Again,
right. You
like
you have to be able to touch the base when you're making that.
But like we
sliding
talked
to
with
second.
Labby, you signed up as a second baseman,
Yeah.
knowing you're going to get taken out.
Right.
Like that's just part of the
And
job.
and the game will find a way to take care of that.
I was gonna say,
yeah, I mean,
in high school, it was like if a dude slides into you, you land on top of him with your elbow.
Oh, yeah.
like that's what you do. So, all right, you're gonna do that. That's cool. We're gonna land right on top of you with our elbow, and hopefully in the face. If not, somewhere else that hurts.
so yeah, today you couldn't do that. You can't do that. No. Even if as a coach, if you were to tell a kid that, it would be
Oh yeah.
fired, social media. It would be.
So?
I don't know.
That seems like it's still like if you're gonna come in with your cleats up at me, I have every right to land on top of you. I feel like that's still. Maybe it's unspoken. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's not verbalized.
Yes,
it's just, hey, if this happens, this is where you should land.
to some of the dads out there, that's what you do. Because as a coach, I can't say it.
Well, I remember a quick story. We had when I was at Madera, we were playing another team. I'm not going to say who, and they kind of showed us up by doing like a hit and run late in the game. And they have those unwritten rules everybody's talking about.
Yeah.
They were up on us like double digits to low single digits, and they did a hit and run, and we're just like, really?
Yeah, that's not cool at all.
So we do we give the middle finger sign, right? We're going to hit the next guy. Well, our pitcher shakes it off and doesn't do it. And the guy, I don't know if he got out or got a hit, and he comes back in and we're like, did you give him the sign? Yeah, I did. Did what? Why didn't you do it? Well, he's my friend. I'm like, what? Like, when I was in high school, I had friends on the other team, but I would have freaking still thrown it at him.
I would have been happy that my friend was up. Like,
Yeah.
all right, you're going to hit and run on us when you're beating the crap out of us?
Exactly.
I'm plunking you, and as hard as I can, probably.
Yeah, but
And
that's
at that point now, you go take him out of the game.
he was our dude.
I don't know,
But he wasn't the one getting roped. We brought him in to try to calm everything down. But then,
It's not the pro guy now, is it?
no.
Okay.
No.
Gamboa didn't get beat up.
No, it wasn't Gamboa. Gamboa would have done it.
Yeah, he would have done it. Actually, he probably would have done it on his own too.
Yeah.
Shook the sign off and still hit him.
So in 2006, the Bears make it to the Super Bowl, and like the whole experience, bro. You go ahead and go.
Yeah, it was. It was crazy. We played the Saints in the NFC Championship game Sunday night, like late Sunday. So, like beginning of the fourth quarter, Thomas Jones runs one in. We're up like 37-14 or something, and we're like, we're going to the Super Bowl.
It's a done deal.
It starts snowing. It's like the whole kind of storybook. Win the NFC Championship. It's the George Halas Trophy. His daughter, who still owns the team, Virginia McCaskey, receives the George Halas Trophy. I had a ton, like 12 family members out there. We went to dinner afterwards. We had a little private room. It was, an awesome experience. Urlacher threw a party, so everybody went to the party. It was an awesome experience. But
What kind of party are we talking about?
like just upstairs at a club that he like closed off, and not like the Vikings boat party, not something like that. Just a regular. Hey, the club's
not a Willie Beeman party.
You might have
trucks are getting cut in half or something like that. I've been to those parties too. Yes.
Well, yeah, you were in Miami.
This just happened to not be one of those. But he rented a whole upstairs of a club, and it was just open bar for like 4 hours. And that was Brian Earth. That's what he would do. New Year's Eve that same year, rented an entire bar out, invited everybody, and it was everything open bar. Like that's who that dude is. Great dude, great person, better person than he is a football player, really.
He's taking some heat lately.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? You can't say anything anymore.
You just don't say. If you feel it, that's fine. Just don't say it. But, that's a much more complex conversation.
That is not what this podcast is.
No.
What's that dude like as a player? I think of
Like
the program, just like a psycho.
Like he turns a different switch on.
That walks through the tunnel and it's I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, that's it.
Like a maniac.
Because he's not. I played in Miami with Zach Thomas, who is maybe 5'8.5", and I'm not even joking. wore the same model cleats that he wore since like 1992. Like Nike literally had a mold just for Zach Thomas, and they made these they were so ugly too. But he's like, hey, they're comfortable, man. What am I going to do? But when I got to Miami, Zach Thomas was like 10 or 11 years in. You know, he had been there for a while. Worked harder than anybody I've ever played with in practice. He's running all over the place in year 10. And that's why he's 5'8", 225 maybe. And he's, you know, I think he's a Hall of Fame middle linebacker. I hope he'll get in. I think he'll get in. But Urlacher really didn't have to do that. Like, he was just better than everybody else. But game time intensity, I never played with anybody as intense as Urlacher. And his intensity wasn't like, it was basically do your job or get off my field. Like, this is the standard that we play at. And if you don't meet that standard, you're not going to play on this defense. So when you were on the field, you played as good as you possibly could because that dude kind of brought it out of you. And, you know, Zach was intense too. I remember, man, I started against Houston, my first start, my whole career, year 5. So I did not start a game in Chicago. Go to Miami, start against Houston. I have like 13 tackles. I play really well. And the next week, Donovan Darius, who was hurt the week before, who we had signed a couple weeks earlier, like, oh, Donovan's going to start this week. And I was really disappointed because I played really good. I made one mistake. Owen Daniels caught a corner route on me. That still bugs me to this day. But so I was disappointed. I prepared really well for that Houston game. I didn't prepare as much for Cleveland because I was playing like in some sub packages. All right, I'll just watch the third down stuff and I don't have to worry about it. Well, Donovan goes down like this third series of the game. And I can remember like 2nd and 7, 2 running back set, 3 wide receivers. The receiver comes in motion. I think he's going to come down and crack me. So I step up for the run, and they run a curl route right behind me for a touchdown. And Zach Thomas looks at me, and he says, hey, when it's 2 back and 3 wide receiver, it's 85% pass. And I was like, okay. So that Monday, I'm like, Zach, take me through your process. Like, what do you watch during the week to prepare yourself to have that kind of information game time? I had a good grasp of it, but I sat in his back pocket for the rest of the season, and I prepared exactly like he prepared. And it's kind of unfortunate I tore my ACL because I feel like I would have been a good backup, spot starter, had 3 or 4 maybe good years left in me. But, you know, I improved a lot in 1 year of starting, mostly because of Zach Thomas, because of the process that he taught me. I went into every game. I could, by down and distance, formation, personnel groupings, I could whittle it down to about 2 or 3 main plays we were going to see for just about every personnel grouping and formation and down and distance that we would see. And that's what I had to do to survive in the NFL because the dudes were faster than me. They were more athletic. They were bigger. I had to put myself in better positions, and Zach was the one who taught me how to do that.
Dude, that's legit.
Yeah. Good dude too. We'd race to the microwave every day because he would bring his lunch. Like, his wife would make him lunch. When I was in Miami, I actually had like a food delivery service based on like my body makeup. So we would race to the microwave every day after like watching film of our walkthrough. Just a good dude too. Just like Urlacher, super humble, down to earth. I didn't even know him. He just started chatting with me, and we kind of hit it off.
So back in Chicago.
Yeah, sorry.
No, I want all that stuff. What's that week lead up? You know, 2006.
Sorry, I forgot what we were talking about. Talking about the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
There's a concussion right there. Yeah. Concussion protocol right there.
You know, like processing like Chowchilla to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy to me.
Yeah. We win, and then the very next day, Monday, we're in Hallis Hall, like, going over everything. These are how many seats you have on the family plane. These are how many tickets you get comped. This is how many tickets you can buy. This is the family plane, when it's going to leave, when it's going to return. I mean, the next day, pretty much, you know, all of the travel arrangements for the Super Bowl are done. So you get your family members lined up, who's going to come, how much the tickets are going to cost. And then, you know, we flew down Sunday, a week before the game. I think the family plane came down maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, but the Bears chartered an entire plane. I think everybody got 4 seats on the plane. So my mom, my wife, and my daughter and sister all flew down from Chicago. But we get to Chicago Sunday night, no curfew. Thomas Jones throws a party on South Beach. Nothing too crazy because, we're getting ready for the Super Bowl.
Right.
But everybody's there having a good time. Devin Hester sitting down. I'm chopping it up with Devin Hester. He has a buddy sitting right next to him wearing a hat, kind of low, just kind of low key, and we're just kind of chatting. I get up from there. I go get something to drink, and my buddy was like, "Hey, man, what was Prime talking about?" And I was like, "Huh?" It's like Deion. I was like, "What?" I look over, sure enough, like for 10 minutes, I'm sitting there talking to Devin Hester and Deion Sanders. Didn't even realize it. And Deion Sanders was just like, he's not the guy that is on the NFL Network, playing the Deion Sanders part. He's the low-key, down-to-earth, regular dude, Deion Sanders. And I was like, oh, man, I was talking to Prime. I didn't even know it.
Trying not to be noticed.
Didn't even, not at all.
That's crazy.
Trying to stay as low-key as possible.
I mean, even I don't want to say more cool than playing in the Super Bowl, but Ricky Manning
Yep.
and Bernard Berrien
Yeah.
on the roster.
Yeah.
What was that? How was that?
It was
you guys,
cool, man.
you guys kind of reminisce about that stuff or like
I
talk
saw
about the
Ricky.
Valley?
I saw Ricky in the gym like 2 days ago. We weren't really talking about that. Talking about some of the people that we knew then and how they've moved throughout their career. He's coaching. Coached a couple years with the Seahawks. He was an intern with the Niners. I think he's coaching defense at Clovis North now. But yeah, it's a bond, and I have friends from that Chicago team. There are very few people that I keep in touch with from Miami for no other reason than just I was there for a year, and you really don't build deep relationships. But a lot of guys, Todd Johnson, Hunter Urlacher, Lance Briggs, Peanut Tillman, Rex, even though I haven't talked to Rex in a while, just when you win, when you have success, when you have a nucleus of guys there for like 4 years, and that's what a lot of us were, you just create those relationships. And so, when I see Ricky, we were on a Super Bowl team together.
He was on 2.
His second loss.
Yeah.
His second
Right,
loss.
Carolina,
My first
right?
loss,
Carolina.
Yeah, which is tough. And he said
Did they they didn't lose to Dilfer, did they?
No, they lost to the Patriots.
Patriots.
Yeah.
Damn Patriots.
Yeah.
Devin Hester and Deion. Obviously, Deion's one of the best cornerbacks, but probably the 2 best punt returner, kick returners in the history of the game.
Yeah.
Those 2 guys.
Yeah. Very few. I mean, Gale Sayers maybe, it was kind of transcendent back in the day, but yeah. Well, since we've been alive, there's nobody else.
He still has the record, Hester, right?
Yeah, I think 18 returns or something like that.
Crazy.
He'll be in the Hall of Fame. He has to be in the Hall of Fame. He's the best returner to ever play. Teams were scared of him. They were so scared they would punt out of bounds. They would try to kick the ball out of bounds instead of give the ball to Devin Hester. Like, that shouldn't exist in the NFL. That's how scary he was. And, he was a 4.3 guy. He could stop and go whenever he wanted to, but he was also like 210 pounds. And I think that's what made him a little bit different. Yeah, his vision was great. His speed was great. His change of direction was great. But most of those returners are not 210 pounds. Dante Hall was maybe 180 pounds. Devin was different, and you saw that.
How much of it is, because I love watching football. I really do. But I'm not going to sit here and claim to be any type of a knowledgeable guy about football. I know a little bit of things, but how much of that is him just being a freak or you guys executing versus somebody not? You know what I mean? It's probably a little bit of both, but is it more so him just being a freak?
Yeah. Yep. I mean, we had a really good special teams crew. Brendan Aimbadejo, he was like a 4-time Pro Bowler. Like every year he went to the Pro Bowl. I set the Bears record for special teams tackles that year. And we had a really good crew. So, we blocked our asses off, but it didn't matter. Sometimes he would make a guy miss. Well, the Super Bowl, the opening kick return of the Super Bowl, I got ran clean over on Robert. I had to block Robert Mathis all game. He ran me clean over. He's a Pro Bowl defensive end, 275 pounds. And Dave Tobe is like, oh, man, it's going to be a good matchup. And I was like, Tobe, man, I'm 200 pounds. Like, you know what this guy's going to do, right? So, of course, he ran me clean over. And I was pretty good on kickoff return, but ran me clean over. And if you watch the return, like Devin gives a little like head hip fake to the left just to freeze him for a split second, enough for him to make a cut to his right and hit daylight. But 95% of the guys don't have the ability to do that. Devin had the ability to do that, and Matt Giordano almost ran him down. Caught him in the end zone, but that's the kind of little tiny stuff that he did that just made people miss enough. And once he got in the open field, it was over.
How quick did that whole the game that day, did it all go by too fast?
No, the day was the longest day of my entire life, because in Chicago we would play at noon. So you're up at 8, eating breakfast, getting to the stadium. I don't remember when that Super Bowl was, but it was like 5 or 6 p.m. We're not used to that whatsoever. So it feels like I watched like 3 movies that day, just trying to take my mind off of this game, and then finally getting on the bus to go to the stadium. That was one of the longest experiences. To this day, I've never watched the game. I don't really remember a lot about it. We lost 27-15, I think. I think it was 12 points one way or the other.
29-17.
29-17. Okay, yeah,
you're right. It was 12 points.
Yeah, 29-17. But I haven't watched it. It's maybe one day. It's still just
second quarter.
Yeah.
It was a rough second.
The fumble and the busted coverage. We executed. Our game plan was as good as we could have gone into a game against Indianapolis. Let them run the ball between the 20s, make them kick field goals when they get inside the 20, because the field condenses and we can kind of dictate. We're not worried about Marvin Harrison's speed or Reggie Wayne's speed or Dallas Clark trying to hit the seam route. And we executed that largely. They only had one drive where they went down and sustained it and scored a touchdown. Otherwise, they were kicking field goals. But we had the busted coverage, and then we had the pick 6 by Rex. That's 14 points.
Yeah.
We don't give those up.
Yeah.
We win the game. 17-15, we win. We're Super Bowl champions. But when you play that style of football, which nobody plays anymore, your margin for error is very, very small, especially against someone like Peyton Manning.
How was that watching him play?
Preparing for a
We
guy
were
like
prepared. We were ready for him. We knew when we went all wristband. That's why we busted a coverage. Someone got a wrong wristband call. But, we didn't show what we were in until the play clock was down to like 5-6 seconds, because he was going to milk it. He was going to give the fake signals. He was going to do all the stuff that he does. And then he was going to diagnose what we were in, and he was going to make an adjustment off of that. Run pass option at the line of scrimmage. He'd make his call and snap the ball. So we had a really good grasp of what he was going to do. Chicago, how we played defense was a little bit different than everywhere else I was. We played cover 2 probably 85% that game. And we said, we're going to tell him we're in cover 2, and he's going to run the football because the box tells him to run the football, right? The number count to him says run the football. So we would actually dictate what an offense would do based on how much cover 2 we played. And then when we got into the red zone, you can't stretch the cover 2 anymore. So there's not a lot of places to go with the football, even for someone like Peyton Manning. And we, that night I was like, we should have been more aggressive, but thinking back to how we game planned, Peyton Manning had the ability to rip anybody apart, and we neutralized that. We just couldn't make mistakes, and we made Cedric fumbled, rest in peace, but the busted coverage after that and the pick 6, and that's all it took.
It's crazy. You were there though.
Yeah,
I guess.
I have a nice NFC Championship ring. I mean, all my family was out there. All they ever talk about is the Prince halftime show and how it was raining purple rain when he was singing Purple Rain, and it was a great experience. The further away I am from it, the more I appreciate it for sure. But still, you guys would have had to call me Super Bowl champion when I came on, but instead you don't have to do that. I'm not a Super Bowl champion. I'm a Super Bowl loser. And
NFC champ.
It will always be that. You're so close to what I think is, outside of maybe winning a gold medal in the Olympics, the pinnacle of sports accomplishments, winning a Super Bowl, and you're just that close, and a few plays different, and the outcome's probably totally different.
But then you have to appreciate your whole career, though. like from Chowchilla to state to city to state,
Yeah.
and then through the NFL, and then being in that moment. Not a lot of guys make the roster, let alone getting a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know, so an NFC championship's not too bad. There's not a lot of people out there that have that.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. I mean, you're 100%. When you really sit,
But I know as a
as a competitor,
now that's
right.
probably
competitor.
easier to think.
yeah.
Right. Not at
and
the
like
time.
I wasn't there, so
I mean, I could
say that
imagine.
easily.
Hey, it's cool, man. What you did was cool. Don't you think it's cool? Like, oh yeah, you're right. It's cool. No, but like the more, perspective you take on just everything. I can look at my NFL career and like, there's no way someone with my background should have played 6 years in the NFL. It just, it shouldn't have happened. But I did things the right way. I worked as hard as I could. I just tried to be as prepared as possible. And it led to being on a really good team with a lot of really good people, teammates, coaches, management, ownership. Like everything about the Bears is pretty class. And you get to experience all that at like 25, 26 years old. It's a tremendous experience. It shapes you in ways like I still, I was supposed to have a big presentation at 9:00 this morning that got canceled. And I prepared like the last 4 days for this presentation. And I was a little deflated this afternoon. I'm like, man, that was my game day. All right, that's my game day now is presentations or whatever I have to do. That's game day. And when game day gets taken away, it still feels like game day gets taken away when you're playing. You're hurt or, whatever. So it's...
Well, this is game day.
Yeah,
We got you.
This is game day. Yeah,
Made it
this is the
happen.
replacement of the game day. Just got
We'll
delayed.
take it.
We'll delayed a little bit.
We'll take the NFC championship.
They missed out this morning. I can tell you that. We got a fresh Cam today. I bet that the following 2 weeks were probably a quiet.
Nah, we flew straight to Vegas when we got home.
I bet the following 2 weeks were just going crazy.
So we flew. The Bears threw an awesome party. Common performed. It was kind of a
Chicago guy.
subdued. Yeah. I mean, but it was subdued,
Or hip-hop.
But I drank till like 5 a.m. We broke into the hotel bar downstairs to steal beer because everything was closed. Went up to Pat Manley's room. We were drinking beer like 5:30 in the morning. We take a flight, family and players, and the whole organization, everybody, which would have been the greatest plane flight in the history of plane flights. Instead, everybody's kind of, sad. My daughter's like 18 months old. She's crying. It's just a miserable experience. So we get back to Chicago. It's like 4 degrees. My car barely starts because it had been outside for an entire week in like 5-degree weather. So anyway, we would get back. We fly home like 2 days later, and then Todd Johnson, Hunter Hillenmeyer, Rex, and Peanut Tillman are like, let's go to Vegas. So we go to Vegas for like 3 days and
Get over the loss.
drink away our sorrows and gamble away our sorrows. And like it's a trip that we need to do again, get that whole crew together again. It was a nice way to try to forget. And I had a bunch of money from Super Bowl tickets, so I gambled quite a bit and I won more, which was nice. I went home with a nice little playoff bonus of Super Bowl ticket cash
And NFC
blackjack
champ.
cash and NFC
So
champ.
shit.
Yeah.
Well, and you played for not just talking about the Bears organization, but that's such a family organization where past players are probably around
Yeah.
more so than any other organization because it's just it is family.
Yeah, like Jim McMahon was around all the time. Steve McMichael, all those.
Did you guys ever play their song in the locker room at all? Was it the
I don't
85?
think
The
so.
85 Bears?
Yeah, the Super Bowl shuffle.
Yes.
Nope. But and those
See, I
guys
would have
real-
thought that might have came on going to the Super Bowl. You guys might have played
We
it.
should have remixed it. Is what we
Yeah,
should have
you
done.
should have.
We should have gone down to 2007 version of that. But Richard Dent was a defensive line coach my first couple of years with the Bears. So those guys were always around. Ron Rivera was our defensive coordinator when we went to the Super Bowl. So yeah, it was those guys are still legends. Still to this day, what is it? 35 years later?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They go anywhere in Chicago still, and they're still revered because they're the only, Super Bowl champions. The Bears have won 9 NFL championships, but only one Super Bowl, and those 85 Bears were the guys to do it.
And a lot of people don't know that song they made before the season.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
They made that song before the season. Don't quote me on it. I want to say that's a true fact.
Quoting you on that.
Fact check.
Well, no, I have a bunch of buddies at work that are diehard Bears fans, and I want to say he told me that they made that song to piss everybody off because they knew how good they were.
Yeah.
And then they went and did it.
Yeah, they were right.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, they were
I mean,
right.
that
Yeah,
had
they
the
were-
team that was, they were the cocky, SOBs that
Yeah.
everybody wanted to beat, but they couldn't.
And just shut everybody down.
Yeah.
Just demolished everybody.
I'm going to make sure that's a true
Defense.
fact.
Yeah, we'll have to look that up.
Because it sounds awesome. It was true.
I feel like I feel like I've heard that before too. Now I have to when I leave here, I'm gonna.
Well, yeah,
check
you'll be
that
able
out.
to find out before me. You're a Chicago Bear.
Like, hey, these dudes really do this?
Well, wasn't Rivera on that team?
Yeah. I don't
There
know
you
if
go.
he was in the video or not.
You can just give me his number. I'll call him. He's in Washington. He's out though, right? Didn't he? He got sick or something, or he has something.
Oh, but yeah, he has cancer.
Yeah.
So I know he's going to coach as much as he can. I haven't talked to him in probably 2 years, so I have no idea. But yeah, diagnosed with cancer. I think they caught it early, and he should be able to still go a little bit. But I don't know if he's had to
I just
step
heard
away
that
or
the
not.
other day. But
I hope for the best.
Good dude, another good dude too.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that last year, and I like him. I thought he was great in Carolina.
yeah,
Real quick rundown. Best quarterback that you think you ever played with or against?
I mean,
You can name a couple.
yeah.
I mean Peyton.
Yeah,
it's
Peyton Manning
hard.
he was so good.
Did you play against Brady?
Yeah,
in Miami.
yeah. Unfortunately, that was their undefeated.
Oh, yeah, you
team.
got mossed.
Exactly.
Oh,
I did.
that's one of my favorite.
Yeah.
One of you got that tweet pinned though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like that one.
and he's always
What a
like,
dummy.
"Trust me, I wanted."
Yeah,
to
what a
Seriously,
dummy.
seriously. So mad. Not really mad, just like, hey man, I wanted that ball really badly. Like I thought it was gonna be an interception, and then I look up and I feel something hit my back, and Randy Moss comes down with the ball, and I was like, come on, man. I got so many calls and texts that night. It was all over SportsCenter, like top 10 plays nonstop. Dudes texting me like, come on, bro, you got Moss. Like you're number one on it, and they still show it now, like top 5 catches, and it's always there. I contend it was offensive pass interference, but I don't think I'll ever win that one. He was a different dude. Best player I played against, LaDainian Tomlinson and Randy Moss. And
Really?
I don't think there's
LT.
I don't think there's any close, third or 2 or whatever, 1A, 1B dominant. LaDainian was 225. He could make you miss. He could run you over. He was fast. He could catch the ball. He was just such a nightmare. And Randy Moss was he could run as fast as he wanted to. He looked skinny, but he was like 220 pounds. He was actually pretty physical and strong. He was 6'4", just a freak of nature. But Peyton and Tom Brady, Peyton just manipulated everything that you did. I played with David Carr at Fresno State. He was super dominant. I played with Brett Favre while I was there with the Jets. Played against him. He broke rules that he did things nobody else could do. Maybe Josh Allen could do them now with how he throws the ball, but Brett Favre, you couldn't cheat in cover 2. You had to stay front side. He could roll out opposite and throw all the way back across the
just throw
field.
a
Nobody
missile.
else could do that. Patrick Mahomes could probably do that too now, but he'd
be looking over there.
Yeah, right, very true. And he throw it like 70 yards on a dime, which is why I think they're going to win the Super Bowl again.
I'll
Now,
take.
do you have? Because we always do. I know you have probably a lot of wow moments, but like when you got there, like wow, like I'm in the NFL. I looked up to this guy. Did you ever have one of those moments?
Yep.
Or a couple?
Yep. Third preseason game, Emmitt Smith was playing for the Arizona Cardinals or Phoenix, whatever they were back then, Arizona Cardinals. Walking off the field pregame, and I'm like, man, that's Emmitt Smith. And our strength coach is right next to me. I'm like, man, that's Emmitt Smith. He's like, so what? He's on the same field you are. And I was like, yeah, but still is Emmitt Smith. So that was the one. Really, when I was signed with the Bears, I went undrafted. most of the time you sign the night after the draft. I didn't sign until the next day. So I was like bottom of the barrel undrafted free agent. And I thought it was going to be a rookie mini camp. Well, get to mini camp, turns out to be a full team mini camp. So day one, I'm walking on the practice field and there's Urlacher. And I was like, man, what am I doing here? What am I doing here?
Future Hall
So
of
a
Famer.
couple, yeah.
And how does like autographs and stuff go? Because they do the jersey exchanges, or do you send stuff over to locker rooms? Because in baseball, it's different. You know, they send stuff over with clubbies and stuff. Do you guys have clubbies and stuff that do that for you guys, or
I don't.
you guys never did that?
Nah, I don't know. I know the jersey exchange.
That's kind of
really
new,
wasn't
right?
a thing. Yeah, I I don't remember ever exchanging a jersey. I know Jerome Bettis ran Urlacher over when we played him in 2005. He sent him his cleats. He signed his cleats and sent it to him in the mail. But like, yeah, we wouldn't just send stuff over and get autographs for guys. I don't know why. You know, the game's over. Like the game's over. It was super respectful. There was no like, you know, really hard feelings unless there was something cheap. But yeah,
Maybe it just
really
wasn't
never
ever
happened.
done, so nobody kept doing it.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I would have thought it would happen more.
But I guess not that baseball players are super friendly before a game or whatever, but I feel like maybe the intensity is a little bit different because you're not trying to knock the other guy out. You know?
You're playing the same team 4 days in a row,
right.
5 days in a row. You're talking to them on the field.
Yeah.
You know, you guys are just trash
Well, and
talking each other.
they also play within their division multiple times,
Right,
where you
twice.
may play a team one time.
Well, no, their division. You guys play there at least twice.
Twice,
Yeah.
yeah. In division, we play them twice. So we really didn't like those teams. You really do develop a dislike. I really don't like the Packers. The Lions, I don't care about. I really don't care about the Vikings either because they weren't that good outside of the Randy Moss, Dante Culpepper year. But the Packers, yeah, if you're a Bear, you have to hate the Packers. If you're a Packer, you have to hate the Bears. But funnest place to play outside of Soldier Field was Lambeau Field, like hands down. Just an awesome place to play. I never played in the new Cowboy Stadium. I was gone when that came around, but Lambeau Field is the real deal.
I can imagine. Those two fields are like Wrigley and Old Yankee Stadium,
they're
you know, or Red Sox Fenway.
Fenway, yeah.
That's what those two fields are like.
I've never been to Fenway. I went to Wrigley Field, but never to Fenway. Wrigley Field was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks just like it did when it was built, whenever, in 1918 or whatever. Urinals are the same, guaranteed. Trough urinal, the same. 100 years later, it has not changed.
Yeah, that's a bucket list trip too. So now you're covering the Dogs.
Yep.
We've got a new coach.
Yeah.
Just brief thoughts, the first impressions, and are we not playing football? Is it for sure? It's a done deal.
The Mountain West.
I think so, yeah.
So we get to watch other
Mountain
college
West said
teams play
something-
football?
yeah,
Well,
Mountain
didn't the
West
Big
said
Ten say
something-
no first, and now they're voting
They're talking
again?
about
I don't
October,
know.
I think.
Yeah. Yeah, they're considering something.
Since people are playing.
Yeah. And the Mountain West sent out a press release yesterday and said they're looking at some things that maybe they weren't looking at before. I don't really know what that means, but yeah, I don't think they're going to play football until the spring. I don't know what the spring is going to look like. But Kalen DeBoer, you know, when Jeff stepped down, Kalen was kind of the guy everybody thought was going to be the guy, was here for 2 years, you know, was a head coach at the NAIA level for 3 years, went like 58-2, won a couple of national championships. So, you know, had a pedigree of being a head coach, came here, totally transformed this offense, went to Indiana, totally transformed their offense, took them from like 10th in the Big Ten to second in like points per games and yards. So just understands offensive football, knows how to develop guys, and he's just a good dude. Like I have a really good friend, Alex Pitts. He's the head coach for Chowchilla High School. He's my UBS like financial advisor. He runs a youth league in Chowchilla, and every year they have a Super Bowl, and I'll come talk and just kind of give them a motivational message. I'm walking up this year, and Kalen DeBoer, like a month after signing on as Fresno State head coach, is walking up to this event. I'm like, what are you doing here? And he said, well, when I was the offensive coordinator here, I met Alex. We kept in touch, and he asked me, hey, would you come out and speak to the kids? And I was like, dude, he was like living in a hotel or sleeping on someone's floor. You know, his family's back in Indiana. He's closing on a house. He's trying to find a place to live, and he's at Chowchilla, you know,
Rec football.
recreational park, giving a motivational speech to 200 kids. That's the type of dude that he is.
Well, I've heard nothing but good things. It sounds like we're in good hands, and loved having Tedford here, and I always miss Pat Hill. We were talking earlier about growing up in the Sweeney days and the Pat Hill days, but excited, man. I hope we can start filling the stadium again, and
there's big stuff on the 0-1 game against Oregon State. Did Fresno State post that, the football?
Yeah, somebody posted
Who
that.
posted that? It's all over.
I did see that
game. Talking about that game, the 0-1 game when you guys beat Oregon State.
That was a fun one.
Oh, yeah.
That was the goalpost coming down.
That was
like the first and last time that ever happened.
Yeah, because then I think they stopped.
They made a rule, you can't get on the field.
Yeah. My helmet got stolen that game. Actually, I
so somebody in this.
Yep. Seriously, I got on a punt return. I got a concussion. They took my helmet away, and it was mayhem after the game. And like Tuesday, I'm getting ready for practice. I don't have a helmet. I go to the training room. I'm like, hey, I need my helmet. Like I got cleared, and they're like, no, we don't have it. I'm like, what do you mean? You guys took it from me on Saturday night. Like somebody stole it.
Holy cow!
So I had to go out to practice on Tuesday with like a 2-bar face mask, like the quarterback wide open one with just a 2-bar, looking like a fool. But if I didn't practice Tuesday, I wasn't playing against Wisconsin. I mean, that wasn't going to happen. So I was out there, didn't care what kind of helmet I had to put on. It was too big, didn't fit right. Banging against Derek Ward and Paris Canes with a helmet that doesn't fit. Not the smartest move in the world.
I think you had more than 5 concussions.
Like I said, who knows, man?
They'll
come out with a diagnosis one day. Hey, this is a concussion. It'll be like 14.
At least.
14 concussions over the career.
Yeah, that's no bueno. What would land on this? Because I don't think it matters what sports you play. You get into the NFL, and we've heard a lot of guys get to the show or play at a high level in baseball, talk about what it takes, especially at a young age. And you talked earlier about going to state, not being ready. Just any advice for a young kid who
thinks
dreams
ready
to get to the NFL. I mean, I think the same work ethic, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, track, being an Olympian, whatever it is, just maybe something the kids could take with them.
Yeah. I mean, being responsible, I think, for everything that you do. I think what I developed probably after the NFL, I don't think I even really understood this while I was there, was J.D. Williams, who was my DB coach at Fresno State, the first round pick in Fresno State football history, played corner on all 4 of the Bills losing Super Bowl teams, which is very unfortunate. But he always used to have a saying, like, if I'm tying my shoes, I'm trying to tie my shoes faster than everybody else, right? If I'm going to practice, I'm trying to get out to practice faster than everybody else. And I always took that as you always wanted to beat other people, or you were always competing against other people. But what he really meant was, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it as good as I possibly can every time I do it. And if I do that, I'm going to be better than everybody else at it. And that's something that I've tried to implement in every aspect of my life now. And had I had that at like 18 years old, I wouldn't have had to leave Fresno State to go to Fresno City. I would have been able to handle it. If you do everything, you put, full effort, maximum attention into whatever you're doing, and you try to excel at everything in your life, you're going to start excelling at everything in your life. I think it's almost contagious that when you operate that way, you're going to operate that way with everything you do. And that's what JD meant. I'm not trying to tie my shoes faster than everybody else because I'm competing. I'm tying my shoes faster than everybody else because I'm trying to be the best at everything that I can be every possible moment. And if I do that, even if I'm down a couple of days, it's still going to be better than everybody else.
Yeah, and I think that's great too, because it's harder for kids now to maybe take that and run, only because there's more distraction.
Yeah.
There's the cell phone, right? Where we didn't have that at practice. I didn't have that waiting in my truck after practice.
Yeah. And that's like with baseball, is like everybody wants to play travel ball, and you're just playing games, but you're not doing the T work, the ground balls, the even playing catch, the little things.
Developing your skill set.
Yeah, which, you can't walk in your shoes without tying them first. So
Right.
you have to do the little things, right all the time at max effort. Well, you got to, take ground balls at max effort all the time and do that before you get to the games. You can't just play games and expect to be better than everybody else. That's what I took from that as a baseball person.
No, I like that. And I mean, it goes to your academics. So
100%.
You can't have one and not the other. You're going to go play school ball, whether it's basketball, baseball, football, run track, play golf, lacrosse, swim, tennis. You got to have that grade side too. So
For
you don't
sure.
have to focus on one thing. I think that's the great way to put it is you're putting it towards everything.
Yeah, everything.
You're never going to forget it.
That's just how you operate.
Right.
You don't do
It
anything
becomes
else.
second nature.
Right. And that's just how you do it. Like I'm taking MBA classes right now, and I mean it's kind of off topic, but it ties into this, right? There's a group, 12 groups in this simulation, marketing simulation I'm doing. 12 groups of 2 people, but I'm just by myself because I wanted to do this. I wanted to learn everything that is involved in it. I don't know anything about like pay per click advertising and search engine optimization, stuff like that. So I kind of fell asleep. It was due Saturday night. I fell asleep. I finished like 10 minutes and I ended up like kind of middle of the pack in this group of 12 groups. And I was like, I'm guaranteed going to be at the top of this group for the remainder of the semester. Like I'm not getting 6th again. I think that's just it. Like there's a competitive nature that, I've developed through playing athletics that now permeates through everything that I do. If I do it, I want to beat everybody else at it because that's how I operate. I wouldn't have been an undrafted free agent that played 6 years in the NFL if I didn't walk onto every field and say, I'm going to go out and perform better than everybody else. I know I'm not better than everybody else physically, but I'm going to go out and perform better than everybody else today.
Right. And even if you weren't the most athletic, those intangibles that other guys didn't have keep you on a roster.
Exactly. It allowed me to survive, really, because you don't have the mentality, you play 0 games in the NFL.
It's great, man. That's awesome. I don't even know where else to go from here, Chad. I've learned a lot of stuff, and from a football episode.
Hey,
hit or die, man.
Hit or die.
Hey, but it applies to everything.
No, it does.
It applies to life, sports. That's why we didn't mind having a football guy in here because, what you do in football, you're going to do in baseball. So, plus, who wouldn't want Killer Cam on that podcast?
That's right.
Hey, I tell kids to play baseball, to be honest with you. Like, they ask me, football or baseball? Baseball. Like, play baseball. It's a grind, but you're not beating yourself to nothing every week and then trying to recover and play. But I don't know how difficult it is to make it. There's so many players, right? 50 rounds.
You're having at least
draft every year.
150. You have 150 players in an organization and only 25-man big league roster.
Yeah. So I know it's extremely difficult.
Well, I saw a stat the other day. It was from, I forget, the late 1800s to present, less than 20,000 Major League Baseball players.
Yeah, that's
so over 100 years.
You can't even wrap your head around that stat. Like that's insane.
So it even makes more sense to do everything the right way all the time.
Right.
Because the chances of you being a professional athlete, let alone a baseball player, are slim to none.
Yeah, 100%. But that's the way you work. My game day, like I said, my game day is not football anymore. My game day is whatever I'm doing, right? Whatever big thing that I have work-wise or family-wise or whatever, I'm going to put the same amount of energy, effort, preparation into that. And then when I go in and crush something, it feels like a win. Not a Super Bowl win, but feels like a win on Sunday.
Yeah, that's the mentality. That's that killer. That killer.
Killer with an A.
Well, Cam, I appreciate you taking some time, man, and doing
Yeah.
this. I know you're busy, and
This was our Super Bowl.
Yeah,
and we won.
I'm just glad because we talked about trying to do, a football guy. You were the first one that we thought of.
What was a chance encounter at Belmont, huh?
Well, so we had talked prior to that.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
we
he's-
talked
and
about
he's
it.
like,
Yeah.
dude, I just talked to Cameron today. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And so it was meant to be.
Yeah.
But
and it worked out. Like I thought I was going to be in Richmond for that meeting this morning. Then it got changed to a phone call, and like the day just worked out. The time worked out. Yeah, it was perfect. It's meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. We appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah, of
absolutely.
course.
No, and again, we just want to thank everybody for listening. It's doing well. We're having fun doing it. We're going to keep doing it. We got hopefully another decent guest, possible first round pick. Going to do the show with us next week or so. We'll see.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
I was like, wait, what? Who?
Yeah.
And I was like,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
Baseball. Well, it'll be back to baseball.
Yeah.
Shows on Spreaker, iTunes, Spotify.
Go watch it on YouTube.
It's on YouTube. Go subscribe to the channel. And again, we appreciate you doing this, Cam.
Yeah, of course, man. Thanks for having me. It's always fun to chop it up about football, baseball, sports with good people. So, yeah, thanks for the invite.
Appreciate that.
Yep.
That's episode 73 of the Hit or Die podcast.
Hit or die.